Hey everyone, so we're going to be looking at comparing and ordering real numbers. It says that when comparing or ordering real numbers, you must change all the numbers to the same notation. All right, so real numbers include all those things we looked at the other day, your natural numbers, your whole numbers, your integers, your rational numbers, even your irrational numbers. All right, so lots of different types of numbers. It can be in all different forms, decimals, percents, fractions, those kind of things. So you want to be able to order and compare any of those types of numbers. When you do that, though, you're going to have to change them so that they're all decimals or all percents. Usually, percents and decimals are what we change things to because they're the easiest to order. All right, so if you're using decimals, one thing you want to be aware of is that you need to make sure that the numbers you're comparing have the same number of decimal places. So sometimes you will have to add zeros to your number so that they all have the same number of digits. Okay, and then remember when you're ordering negatives, all right, that the larger the negative is, all right, the smaller the number actually is. All right, so think about a number line, all right, as you get closer to zero, you're getting closer to zero, the numbers are getting bigger, okay, but the larger the negative is, numbers to the left, right, are the smaller numbers. As you go right, you're getting bigger, all right? So the number gets less negative, is actually getting bigger. All right. So first we're going to compare using these symbols here. Hopefully you remember what these are called. This one's less than. This one's greater than. And of course equal to. All right. There may be times when you need to use the calculator for the square roots. And that's fine, but otherwise, all right, then be able to change fractions to decimals because we did talk about that at the beginning of this chapter. All right, so I have 2 2/3. So this is a fraction. I know how to take I need to change to a decimal or percent if that's what I'm going to do. Because I'm comparing it, well, let's just start comparing and then we'll decide what we want to change it to. All right, so 2, I'm just going to ignore the whole number for a second and change the fraction. So top in, bottom out. In order to do that, top goes in, bottom goes out. I can't divide 3 into 2, so add my decimal and a 0. 3 will go into 20 6 times. And I subtract, I get 2. Bring down another 0. It'll go 6 times. Bring down one more 0. It'll go 6 times. All right, so maybe you could tell it's repeating, but I like to have 3 digits just to know. All right, so this is 2.666. All right, it is repeating if you want to write there. And then the square root of 7. Okay, I can do an estimate for that, but I can't get it close enough to know how it compares. So this one I want to go ahead and actually do on a calculator. So if I'm typing it on this type of calculator, then I type in the number first and then hit, oops, turn it on, obviously. I type in the number and then I hit the square root sign. And I get, you can see I get a long number here. So I'm just going to use the first 3 digits because that's what I have here. So 0.2645. Right? If you're using a graphing calculator, then I think you type in the square root first and then the number. But we'll talk about that in class. All right, so 2.666 compared to 2.645. This number is larger than this number. So this is greater than, right? 18 over 5, so top in, bottom out. And divide 5 into 18, it'll go 3 times. When I subtract, I get a 3. So add a decimal and a 0. Keep going. 5 will go into 36 times. So this is 3.6. Pi. You're not sure what pi is, you can look it up on a calculator. All right, so you just need to find the pi button. And it is 3.1415. All right. This would be 3.14. All right, I'm going to stop there. This is 3.6. If I'm comparing 3.6 to 3.14, this only has 1 decimal. This has 2. So I'm going to add a 0 here so that they both have 2 decimals. Okay, but 3 is the same. So is 60 bigger than 14? Yes. So then this number is bigger than this number. So this is greater than. All right, 1.50. There's not a lot to change on this one. 2.25. If I'm not sure what that is, I can do it on a calculator. 2.25, and then the square root of that is 1.5. Okay, so if I'm comparing it to 1.50, right, this has 2 decimal places. This only has 1. So what do? I add a 0 to that. All right, so what do you think? These numbers are equal. Okay, if you prefer percents, right, then after you change it to a decimal, you change it to percent. So this is 150%. Move it over. 150%. You can see that they're the same. Same thing over here. If I want to change it to a percent, I move it 2 places. This is 360%. This is 314%. Sometimes it's easier to see that this is bigger than this. All right, this one's already a percent, negative 70%. This is 71 over 100, so I need to change it at least to a decimal. So top in, bottom out. Can't divide 100 into 71. I'm going to add a decimal and a 0. I'll go into 710 7 times. I'm going to get 10, so I'm going to add another 0 and bring it down. I'll go 1 time. This is 0.71, and it's negative. So I'm comparing negative 70 to negative 0.71. Okay, since this is a percent, I'm going to go ahead and make this a percent. So I'm going to move it 2 places. Remember FDP. I did this part. I'm going to do this part. I'm moving this direction to the right. So this becomes negative 71%. All right. So I'm trying to figure out which one's bigger. I can see if these were positive, 71 would be bigger, right? But these are both negative. So which one is actually bigger? Well, this one, right? Because this one is more, if I'm looking at my number line, right, where this is negative 70 is here, where would negative 71 be? Over here. So the more I move to the right, the bigger the number is getting. So this number is actually larger than this number. Okay? All right. You'll also have to order numbers, least to greatest, or greatest to least. So just pay attention. These directions tell me least to greatest. So I'm going to be doing it that way. Again, I have to change everything to the same type of number. So I'm going to start by changing my 3/4 into a decimal or a percent. So I'm going to write the 2 down so I don't lose it, and then I'm going to change 4/3. So top in, bottom out. 4 will go into, it won't go into 3, it'll go into 30 7 times. 4 times 7 is 28. When I subtract, I get 2, bring down another 0. 2 will go into 20, or I'm sorry, 4 will go into 20 5 times. All right, so this becomes 2.75. This one's already a decimal. It's 2.71 repeating. This is 5 over 2, so I need to do top in, bottom out again. 2 will go into 5 twice. I subtract, I get 1, add a decimal, bring down the 0. 2 will go into 10 5 times. This is 2.5. And then the square root of 9. Okay, actually I know that one, right? 9 is 3 times 3, or 3 squared. So the square root of 9 is just 3. All right, so I need to compare these. These are all decimals, so I could change them to percents, or I can make them all the same number of decimal places. This has 2, this has 2, this has 1, so I need to add a 0. This has none, so I'm going to add 2 zeros. Okay, or think about percents. Move it over 2 places. This is 275%. If I move it over, it's 271%. And yes, it repeats, but I've got enough numbers to compare. This is going to move over 2 places, 250%, and this is going to be 2 places at 300%. All right, if I'm going least to greatest, then the smallest number is 271%. No, 250%. So what number started off as 250%? 2.5 I got from dividing 5 and 2. So my first number is 5/2. Okay, and then what comes after 250? So this was first. And what comes next? This is second, 271. So 271 started off as 2.71, repeating. And then what comes next? This one. So 275 started off as 2 3/4. And then this one here, 300%, started off as what? Square root of 9. Okay, so I want to write my answer in the same form they gave me, even though I have to change the form in order to order it. Okay, it says verify your answer by graphing the numbers in the number lines. So I'm going to just go back to this right here, because I've got 1 and 2. So 2 and 3. 2.75 is going to be 2.7, so think of this as like 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.5 would be in between. This is 2.5, 0. Okay, so I know one of my numbers is 3, right? Square root of 9 is right here. I know that 2.5 is in the middle, so that would be, what did I say 2.5 was? 5 over 2. And then 2.75 and 2.71. So 2.71 somewhere in here. 2.75 somewhere right there. Okay, so did I get them in order? 2.5, sorry, 2.5, 2.71, 2.75, and 300. Yep, looks good. Okay. This one, square root of 60. Now this time, that's not a perfect square, so I'm going to need to find that. Square root of 60, and then don't forget the negative is going to be negative 7.7. I'm just going to give it 3, just to be careful. 745. All right, this number I can change, so top end, bottom out. Add decimal and a 0. I'll go 7 times, and then stop. I have the negative 7 to start with, and then I change the decimal to negative, or to 0.7. Okay, this is just a plain old negative 7. And 66/9, I can do that. Top end, bottom out. It is going to be negative, so I'm going to write that down so I don't lose it. 9 I'll go into 66, 63 times. That gives me a 3, add a decimal, both places, bring down the 0. 9 I'll go into 30. 3 times, that's 27. When I subtract, I get 3. Okay, I'm going to bring down another 0. 9 I'll go into 30, 3 times. Okay, I'm going to go one more decimal. It's going to go, again, 3 times, right? Okay, so this became 7.333, and it actually repeats, but I've got the same number of decimal places I had here. All right, so 3 here, there's only 1 here, so add 2 zeros. If there's none, where's your decimal? At the end of the number, so add 3 more zeros. Okay, so now I can compare these, right? Again, you can change these to percents if you want to. It's up to you. Okay, move it 2 places. Okay, or you can do decimals. All right, now, it's tricky though because these are what? These are negative, so it's kind of the opposite of what you think. All right, so negative 7.74 kind of sounds like the biggest one, but it's the furthest one, negative 7.745. It's actually over here somewhere, okay? This is like 700, this is like 7800. This is like, so it's hard to see. This one's like this, and this one's like this. So 745 is between these two, negative 7.745. Okay, and then I've got negative 7.70, that's right there, negative 7.700. And then 7.000, that would be this one over here. It's over here. And then negative 7.3, this is 300, this is 400. So 333 is actually between those, so somewhere right here, negative 7.333. All right, so if I want to put these in order from least to greatest, okay, I start with the numbers on the left and go to the right. So least was negative 7.74, or sorry, negative 7.745. This one's first, and it started off as negative square root of 60. Okay, and then negative 7.70, that came from what? That came from the negative 7 and 7/10. That was 2. Okay, and then my next number is negative 7 with the repeating 3. That started off as negative 66 over 9. And then my last one is negative 7.00. That was negative 7. Okay, the least to greatest right there. All right, so remember when you're comparing, when you're ordering, right, you're changing to the same decimal notation or percent notation, and you're adding zeros if you're using decimals if you need them, and then just be careful with the negatives. Okay, all right, I'll see you in class.